Go ahead, go live. All right. I think we got excellent connection. Let's see how I'm gonna wait till it appears. Okay. Yeah, so like right now, we are live. It seems like you'll be probably. Oh, there it is. So now let me check the connection just a minute. It appears. Yeah, it looks like we got good signal. Yeah, so like right now, let me see. Check one. Check one. It seems like you'll be probably. Oh, there it is. So now let me check the connection just a minute. It appears. Yeah, it looks like we got good signal. We're good. Let me see. Check one. Check one. Seems like you'll be. All right. Yeah, we do have signal. We are live right now, and we're gonna give it a little chance for a few guys to go on right now. We're not. I got the banner on right now, so I'll let you know once we get going.
Let people build up in background, like.
Yeah. It's just I like to have a co-host because or the main host, and I'll be the co-host for the reason that you got to keep track of the programs, and once we get into the conversation, if something goes wrong, I don't notice it, and we either lose audio or something. But that's why I'm always recording it.
Yeah, so how was your experience when you come over? Did it open your eyes? Did you go back with it?
Yeah, it was, I mean, being here, that you hear the names and like, the old videos that are out from Rick Shaning when he went over there, and we get to see the faces, and George came over here. I got to meet George and for the convention. But you still have a wonder, wonder how it really is, how these guys are, I mean, are they outgoing? What are their whole, concept within the hobby and competition and all that. And I got to see a lot, and the way you guys judge, the way, you guys look at a pigeon and all that. So, but let's I think we're 5 minutes earlier. I think it won't matter. So, let's get going right here. I'm gonna put on the introduction right here. All right, here we go.
Welcome to Roll Call, the #1 Birmingham Roller podcast, bringing together Birmingham roller fans from all over the world.
Okay. I'm gonna say go in that boiler.
Welcome everybody, welcome. I got putting the new intro on here just to test it out, see how it looks, and trying to get the hang of it. So, welcome everybody. There's a few things that I need to work on. I see. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Roll Call. Today's guest from England. You go by CJ, right? CJ,
yeah.
CJ Thirkill.
Christian
There you go, Chris. So welcome everybody to another episode. So today's guest we have here I would just say a newcomer to the hobby in the past few years.
12 years ago, I had pigeons. 12, 13 years ago, maybe, something like that. I did all right a couple of years and ended a relationship. It never worked. So I didn't have pigeons for a while. So I did know what I was doing a little bit. But yeah, new to hobby in last 4 or 5 years. competition anyway.
Nice. And okay, so whereabouts in England are you from?
I'm from Bradford, which is West Yorkshire, curry capital as you call it, and then I've moved to Doncaster now.
Okay, Doncaster. And just share with us how'd you get introduced to the roller hobby?
I've got a mate in Bradford. I lived in Halifax at the time. I started getting a few pigeons, and I went to watch some pigeons at my mate's, Matthew Page, from Bradford, and he had a few rollers, Morris Old pigeons. And when I went over, I watched them. I think I bought them £5 each or something like that, and it clicked on like they weren't proper rolling, but they were rollers, if you know what I mean. And then I looked on internet, and there were a chap called Dean Middleton that had just done really well in Youngbird, All England, I think, or something. He flew Ian Burkitt pigeons. I went there and I bought 4 or 5 pairs or something like that. Non-kitters, early landers, bad eaters. And I did all right that year, to be honest with you. And I think, like anything, if you get pigeons, it sticks, doesn't it? You're hooked no matter what. Even when I didn't have pigeons, I bring up a little lad on my own. I lived 3 miles away from Matthew Page, and I trained greyhounds then. I used to walk the greyhounds, 4 greyhounds, with a pram up to Matthew's and fly his pigeons for him.
Nice. And so you got introduced to these rollers, and was that the first time that you ever had pigeons?
Yeah, first time in my life that I ever. Well, I tell a lie. About 9 or 10 year old, I went and bought 2 pigeons from the same estate, and I put them in a rabbit hutch and let them out after a week, and they went back home. So it was a bad start back then, like. But yeah.
Nice. And I mean, so you also have a history, pretty much working with animals. You've worked with. Well, tell us some of your history of working with animals, as far as training, cultivating, conditioning.
Yeah, well, as a kid, I want the best of kids. I were a bit naughty now and again. And at 15, I had to go to the British Racing School, which is over here. It's horse racing. And when I got there, it opened my eyes. I was a bit of a jack the lad and everything, but I ended up quite liking it, and ended up getting up to a MVQ level 3 in racehorse management, which becomes part of nutrition and dietary aspects from the corn and the bran to the oats to everything. So I learned a little bit there, and then after that, I've always had greyhounds, racing dogs, and I got put in position to take on Askin Greyhound Stadium, and I've always fed my dogs right, but I had to find out basically what was the best way to feed dogs so you get the most out of them at the time that they're running. So short bursts, but you're filling the muscles full of enough protein, carbs, and everything else, which it's a lot same with pigeons, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so you pretty much gotta give them the proper diet, conditioning, training for the endurance that you want from them, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Nice. Do you feel right now that we're in that subject? Do you feel that it's also very important to apply that to these birds, as far as getting the most out of them that you look for? And of course, the most out of them, we all want to see the roll and the bust and the work rate, and that, and if you ain't got that, then it's not like it's a sight to see at most times, you know what I mean? But how important is all that?
To me, the important factor is the birds that you're breeding in the first place. The quality of the pigeons. You can ruin a bird with food. I've just done it in nationals. I'll be brutally honest. All the way through, we'll start here. I've started flying some kits. And a man, Mark McCory, says to me, what are you doing with these? They were all over at Sky. They were breaking. They were nice pigeons all over at Sky. And he says, what are you feeding them? And I says, oh, this mix. And he says, just put them on wheat. So then I spoke to Dave Mosley, and Dave Mosley said, these birds are overfed and overflown and underfed. And I never got the aspect of it. So I started putting them on breed and wean, putting them on all different things. Now, last year I finished third in all of England on just wheat. On wheat with young birds. And it was, to me, you've got to have it there in the first place. You're not going to make a bird roll with food. You can't change the food and make a bird roll. You can make it roll faster, you can make it roll slower, you can make it go high, you can make it go low, but you've got to have it there in the first place. The team structure, the roll, the finishing and everything's got to be there, and then you can make them go faster or slower. I've tried it all this year, and I've won quite a bit, and I've finished second, thirds of best individuals. But the thing with them is you've got to have them balanced. You know what I mean? People don't understand. Yeah. There's no point giving a bird 3 days before multivitamins, barley, conditioner, and everything else, because after 3 days, you're not going to know what you're getting. I've just done it in nationals.
Right. And so, and not to lose the thought of what we're talking about right now, let's give us your thought on balancing, and what do you mean by that?
Balancing. I think a team has to be balanced as in food-wise. So you'll get an hen that eats, say, a tablespoon of food. You're going to get a cock that'll eat 3 in the same time that it's doing it. It's your eyes and your pick and opinion to take that bird out, or to feed it on its own, to fly it differently. You'll see you'll get some cocks and they'll fly around clapping on 3/4 of a can. It just means that they're getting more than the hens that are in that kit, you know. So I as in balancing, 2 or 3 days before, depending on the last time I let them out before a competition, I will take food off of them and slowly take a spoonful of food out. But it's only wheat, normally. And then 3 days before, when I know they've come out, they've done half an hour, they might put in a good roll at first, and then they might put in a nice break at end, and then the land. I know then is a time to build them back up. Now, I've tried breed and wean, and I've tried conditioner, and I've tried grit, minerals, everything. Giving them a good feed of wheat balances them back out very quickly.
And then for those of you that are just tuning in right now, this is CJ Thirkill from. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Thirkill, yeah, Thirkill.
Yeah, you be killing it like your last name. You know what I mean? but he's a flyer from England, and he's just coming up on his hobby and doing real well over there. Recently he won a lot of flies, and we're gonna get to his accomplishments here later on in this conversation right here. But he's fairly, I guess I said, the new era out there in England, so he's putting in work. And now like you just mentioned right now, you find those birds that seem to work their way to eating more than the rest of the birds, and you're visualizing that, and what do you do as far as to keep that balance going?
You've just got to watch them eat. Honestly, I think the start of it is I use American kit boxes. So where they're coming through kit box door, they're on perches, mesh floor, quite tight spaced. I can put them in dark if I want. And what I use is, carpet lino.
Yes.
Plastic lino, what you use on floors in kitchens and stuff. I was using troughs, like feeders, long thin feeders.
Yeah.
And I realised you'd have an hen that'd eat 2 pieces of corn and jump over 4 cocks to get another piece of corn. So they weren't getting the same balance, and that's where I say balance comes into it. You've got to know yourself, if a bird starts dropping out at kit or drifting out when they're flying, you've got to be able to pick that bird out at sky, come back in, hold it, feel it, a little bit light, a little bit heavy, and know what you have to do with them,
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's where balance comes into it. That's what I meant by balancing.
okay. And within those birds that you see that are maybe eating more than the others, or the ones eating less than the others, what are some of the things that you analyze or see in the air that that will affect the way their performances or the chemistry within the kit, based on a bird that is not getting enough and proper grains, or a bird that is getting too much for what your ratio is for them?
It's all to do with the type and strain and the actual pigeon itself. You get a bird that don't eat as much, people think that's the first one to land. Sometimes that can be the bird that ends up in clouds and don't come down for 2 hours. They don't necessarily need a lot of corn from day to day. So if you're saying day-to-day basis feeding, you might feed a tin, a baked bean tin, and a quarter of wheat and get an hour and a half out of them. And you see a lot of balance. You see that birds can eat properly, and you won't have much problem, pigeons. But then when you start knocking them down and you start flying, some cocks might fly for 3 hours, 2 hours. Some might land after half an hour, 45 minutes. It's all to do with your own and knowing the pigeons in the first place. So that's where I can do it myself, because I know what I've got in breeding. I know I aren't going around and getting pigeons off of everyone. I get pigeons off of one other man than going and how I set them up in first place, you know. And then the man, he feeds an awful lot like me anyway. I call him my dad anyway. He's, you know, I think, did you go up to Gordon's? He got second in all of England. He got best individual.
I might have. I don't. You know what? It was so hard for me to see so many faces. I mean, and names as it is. It's
Lee
hard.
Duncan from Phil McKenzie.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
What you asked me? What you asked me?
Gordon. I said, you remember Gordon, the old man on allotments?
Okay, I got a picture of him because, like I said, it's hard for me even remember names at times, you know. but
Yeah.
but I do, but I did film everybody, but yeah, but but yeah, I mean, you guys have pretty, how would you say, not like a good weather all the time, you know. Like I noticed that I went and when it was supposed to be the best weather you guys had, and it was raining, windy, gusts of winds, cloudy all the time. Is it like that over there all the time?
I say that you can get 4 seasons in a day. You can get summer, winter, autumn, and spring in one day. You can set off to somewhere on road and it's raining. You get there, it's sunny. Half an hour, it's windy, and then it clouds over and it's peeing it down. It's a lot harder over here. It's windy now. It must be 25, 30 mile an hour winds now. So it makes competition an awful lot harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So that'll be something that your birds gotta adopt, and we talked about that a little earlier about the birds, and along with any other hobby, whatever it is, with other animals, that they're not the same as years before. They've have advanced and adapted more and more, and gotten better. And it makes sense because we have more people in this hobby, and more people are working to make them better quality pigeons. So could you share with that a little bit of what you had shared with me?
Yeah, basically, I think years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, the strain of pigeons, people going about names. I've heard Ian Burkitt's, you heard Morrisell's, but George Mason's and stuff. And I think the strain of pigeon changes. You put two pigeons together at your house and you want quality activity or what, that strain's not that strain anymore. You know, I fly pigeons, and I don't know where they originated from in first place. And to be honest with you, I'm not ringing up everyone and asking to find out, because if you like a pigeon too much, you can glorify it too. If you like a pigeon that's in the sky and you want to know where it's from and you get a bucket and then you ring someone else. Have you got a bucket? Yeah, I'll put that bucket to that bucket. You don't know what you're getting in end up anyway, 9 times out of 10. I'm a true believer in to pick anything, whether it be a stock bird, a kit bird, a flying bird, the type of pigeon that you want, you've got to pick it out at Sky. I will not go and pay for pigeons. And that's not me being tight. That's not me thinking I can take people's pigeons or I can get any better with. But unless you pick them out at Sky and I really, really like something, 9 times out of 10 over here, you've got it in your own loft. People search fame. The clout chase, I call it, which is basically like going round and, oh, I'm after, like, is it Turner or something like that over there? You've got, I watch a lot of different peoples over there and you hear them, oh, I'm after some Turner pigeons, I'm after this. You're not going to know until you go and watch them what kind of pigeons you've got anyway.
Right. I'm a true believer in that. I love to, I wear glasses, but I ain't got a loft blinders. That's for sure. I go, but yeah, just like we were saying, like you like you're the new era over there, and you're doing good, and I've seen how dedicated you are, and even your son and your wife said this is more than a hobby to you.
I've only got a son now.
No,
I ain't got a wife. I've only got a son now. I ain't got a wife.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's another pigeon story for you.
Okay. But like I
Listen,
said,
it's a strain on anyone. If you do anything, my dad's always said 100%. I can't give it 95%. If I'm gonna do it, I'll do it properly at 100% all the way through.
Right. And then we have a lot of your guys' birds out here. Mason has been a big name over here. Bill Callahan, Barrett Birds, Brown. It's on and on for the past decades. And but that those birds are probably way different nowadays. Than what there were over there. So that strain, like you said, that strain is probably not the same no more.
Once you put it into an open loft, and maybe after a year, that strain's not a strain. If you put it in an open loft with a few different types of strains, I've watched cocks tread cocks. So you can't tell me a cock don't tread an hen that ain't meant to be trod, because then that strain's not a strain. Then they'll get a pigeon and it'll be a fantastic pigeon, and the next year it's not that kind of pigeon.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. And you know what? Not knocking all the old timers, much respect, because that's where,
That's the foundation. They were the foundation to all of this.
Yeah, but I went over there and I saw a lot of new names over there that I'll be honest, man. I'd like to bring those names here, and maybe I will. I don't know, but. And there will be the new era that everybody gonna be talking about, because it's on a different level. And like George Mason said, he told me, I would like for you to come and stay with me, but I mean, you need to get on that caravan with the judge and go around and see these pigeons. I don't want you to miss these guys that are out here flying these good pigeons. And then I'm gonna hate myself if I have you stay over here with me all the time. So right off the bat, when I went over there, I got in the car with Dave Mosley and Barney, and I'm glad he told me that, because I did see some good pigeons. I might have probably lost the fly going to your house if I wouldn't have, you know what I mean? But they're different. They're definitely guys out there that I've never heard of that are making a name for sure.
Yeah, and I think over here, I've watched a lot of American YouTube channels, and when they're focusing on one or two pigeons, and they're not focusing on a kit. I think you've got the kitting over there is shocking, isn't it? At minute.
Yeah. I got that on lock. I've been working hard on my birds, and I'm actually ready to make a big change in my life right here, and I'm not gonna speak up on it right now, but it's gonna be I'm gonna change things around here. They just say, I'm gonna make my moves and.
You're ordering a kit of pigeons.
No. It's beyond that. Like this is something. I'll be honest. I'm planning to make a move. You know what I mean? And
Like,
fly
you coming to live
pigeons.
with me?
I'm gonna fly some good pigeons in a good location. Let's just put it that way. But anyhow, let's go back to what we were talking about on visualizing the birds and being up to you. We got Jose Maldonado online, and he asks, what does he do with the birds that don't eat like others that eat better? The slow
Um,
eaters.
listen, if I were going to say it's all to do with how good the pigeon is. It's all to do with basically if you're a slow eater, and 9 times out of 10 they're not good. They're not good, and I never ever ever give pigeons away. So there's only one other place. I know. Do you know what I mean? That they go. There's then 9 times out of 10 they're not very good if they don't eat,
They
because
they
there's a
they
reason a pigeon won't eat.
they they uh they go to the green kit box.
Yeah, but I'm not one that goes in and starts killing everything. But what I mean by if you can't balance it out, if you can't balance it out and they're not feeding on a big enough floor, I think space is a massive part of it. If you put them in a trough, you'll get one that's a weaker eater. It'll be knocked about a little bit. If you've got a bit more of a space for them to eat, they can stand in a patch and eat. But 9 times out of 10, you'll get them at 3 month old, and they're a slow eater, so they're not ever going to make no other. So they don't get to 6 month, 8 month, and then start being slow eaters. The slow eaters from the start, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, yeah. And those of you are that are tuning in right now, all the viewers, you have a question, ask. Right now is the time. I'm gonna tell you right now, CJ is very smart in cultivating. He's done it with the dogs, with the horses, and he rised up on a professional level of that. So I mean, there's a lot of ways of doing things, and you might want to ask a question of how he does it. That just in case I miss something, feel free to ask a question. I'll let him know. So you started up in a hobby. Who were some of the guys that were your mentors and that blessed you with a good start of pigeons?
I think what had happened is a few years ago, I had a greyhound track, and greyhounds I had 40 odd greyhounds, kennels, racing them for it twice a week. I needed an hobby, and I needed pigeons again. So I had a look on internet, and the kids were after a lurcher, which a lurcher is a greyhound cross, whippet cross, whatever it is. And he said, I'm after one. And I said, right, well, can I come and have a look at your pigeons? And he said, yeah. So I'd built a pigeon loft inside a shed. And I went and I watched a kit of pigeons. And I says to him, I'll have them 10 there. I says, and can you breed me 20? Now, at the time, the lurchers were doing £850. Pigeons are a tenner over here. And I wasn't going to get into competitions again. But when I went and watched them, I seen that there were some very, very nice birds. So I looked at all stock. They had no rings on and stuff. It's what he'd bought from auctions and here, there, and everywhere. So when people say to me, what strain of pigeon do you fly? I honestly, not lying to anyone, I don't know. So I got these 10 pigeons and I started flying them. No, sorry, I put them into breeding because they could roll. And I started breeding some pigeons. I bought some kit boxes, and we joined a little club, which it's not MBR, it wasn't MBRA registered club, affiliated or out like that. But we'd started a little club up, and we did all right. There were 4 or 5 of us that were flying on a weekend, 4 or 5 times a month, 4 or 5 times a year, sorry. And I started doing all right in them. So I said to the lad, oh, let's get affiliated. But I'd also won free flies, and he didn't like. Over here it's politics. I'm not getting into it, but he didn't like that I'd asked to be affiliated. So he shut the club down just before a young bird fly. Now I'd got in touch with the other people that fly in the club, and we set up. We went to join some other clubs, but Yeah, the people that I respect most and that's helped me and supported me in this is got to be Ian and Billy for one. Ian Reynolds. You remember Ian? When I showed you them almonds and qualmonds and all
Yes,
them lot in
yes,
that back garden.
yes. That word very tight in the back.
Yeah, that's Ian. So Ian wouldn't have even been in competitions. He's just joined the two clubs. So he just joined Yorkshire Pigeon with me and Steel City. So for next year they've allowed him in. And then Billy Jameson is the one where George was stood on top of that ladder in back garden. Do you remember?
Right, right. Yes.
And then they were looking over at back fence, and I think he got about 72 or 73 in young bird fly.
Right, right.
And then Gordon. Other than that, Gordon, who has helped me out tenfold. I can go up there and I say I'm this short, I'm that short, and I know what all pigeons do. Pick them out at Sky. I actually went on Saturday to help him take some decking boards up and put a bit of rubber down.
What's his first name?
Gordon.
Oh, that's his first
Gordon
name?
Joplin.
Joplin, right? Yeah, okay. Joplin, yeah.
Yeah. So if he had best individual in young birds in all of England.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, come up. So when I went up, he said, have you got a box? I said, what for? And he put a kit out, Jerry. And the kit was very, 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 very good. Like jaw-droppingly good, nearly. Nice. And he says, put them in box when they come in. I said, what? He went, put them in box. There's 20, 15 pigeons in there that I'd never, ever fly. He's just like such a gentleman. Like you'll never, ever believe. So I'd have to take my hat off to Gordon, to be honest with you. No. I call him my dad.
Oh, okay. So he gives you he's like a mentor then to you now.
A mentor, as in, yeah, I never ask him for anything. And if he ever gives me, it's out of kindness of his heart. But I'd never ring him and say, can I have this? I might say, I'm this short or that short. Or 9 times out of 10, I'm not short. I just got best individual in nationals, which is absolutely massive over here. And that bird's got his ring on. He gave me it as a gift last year.
Nice. And within your start within in competition, you know, where did you see that kid that you were like, damn man, that's what I want right there?
Mark McCory's for years and years and years. I've watched Mark's, and this hobby, people want to go out and beat him. There's a lot of politics around it. I'm not thinking, but if you don't appreciate pigeons, so if you go in someone's back garden and can't appreciate that they've put the time and the effort, and when you're watching actually rollers, they're doing the job right, bunching up. I judged a fly at the beginning of the year, and I give him 154 points, and they were absolutely, and he said they're not even as good as what they normally are. And I was like, oh, is my judging going to pot? Am I not as good? Like, in my brain, I was thinking, am I seeing something that people don't realise? But then all year, it's actually worked out good because I had my standards that tiniest little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, what's the deal with the you going with the American style of kit boxes? I mean, all you guys out there, I'm gonna tell you right now, very impressive setups. I mean, it's like, I mean, I went over there and I'm like, damn, you know, and I think my setup's very nice and unique. You know what I mean? I try to do something that, you know, not everybody has. So, and I went over there and it's like man caves over there, you know?
Yeah, and they are, because that's people's. It's over here. I don't know. Over there, it's different. I should think. Over there, I've seen them. They're like rabbit hutches with mesh doors and little flaps on. You get them with drain pipes so they can get into the kit boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
The kit boxes for me, the American style ones, it suits where I live. I live where I live. I ain't got a lot of space for a big man cave.
Correct. Yeah.
I've changed my garage into my breeding section, and also put
that is roomy though. That's real nice. That the way you have your breeders, you know. I mean, but I know what you're saying, and I've been there. So yeah, space is limited.
Well, I think this hobby, it's got to suit you. Whether you fly 1 kit of pigeons, 4 kits of pigeons, or you have 8 kit boxes. It's got to suit you. Over here, it's a faster pace of life, I should think. I've been to Australia. I've lived in Australia, and I should think that America's a lot like Australia. You know, it's a lot more laid back, and over here, everyone's close. It's a lot faster pace of life. You know, where's nearest pigeon flyer to you, Jerry?
So the nearest pigeon flyer to me, I would say, is about a good maybe 25 minutes from here, somewhere there.
Yeah, mine's 5 minutes up road,
Yeah.
and then I've got another friend that's 10 minutes down road.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people in a closer proximity, and the gardens over here aren't right crack. They're not like over there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that London, is it? Is it called Kev London with his back garden? It's massive, isn't it?
Who's that?
What's called London or something? Is it? What's he called? He's got about 100 kit boxes in back garden. American guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know
Well,
you.
and it's like, I'm not giving anyone else a little bit more thingy, but over there's a lot more space by the looks of it.
Oh yeah. Well, over here too, you have different states. So in order to get to another state, it's probably minimum 4 hours. If not, the farther you go, you got to catch a flight. You know what I mean? Because you can't drive everywhere. You know. So over there, we did all of England in 2 weeks. You know.
Yeah, and listen, and you've got people like Mark McCory and them that are driving. They go down to London with all of England, which is 4 and 5 hour drives away. It's a lot more of a closer community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a big reason that you guys get to cultivate such a good pigeon, a good quality, proper pigeon, like you guys call it over there, because it's a real tight community, and there's probably a lot of blessing going on as far as pigeons, and a lot of guys out there probably have some type of the birds being close relatives to each other from one flyer to the other flyer, so which means probably flying the same strains or close to it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have thought too much. Like, I do understand what you mean, like a fishbowl effect. So everything then is bred to another roller. But I think experience. If you go around and watch 12 kits in a day, you're gonna know when you go home on a night time and let a kit out what you need to change. And I think we're all into each other's pockets a little bit over here, because you're going to flies. You got a Birmingham, we've got a Middlesbrough, we've been to Hull, we've been down to we've been everywhere. You know what I mean? And the more pigeons that you watch in the sky that are not your own, the only thing you can ever do is experience and learn from that.
Yeah. When it came down to having your main stock and you're breeding off of them, and here we go, you're excited, you're breeding for competition now. What type of breeding program did you start with, as far as how many birds, what line breeding, inbreeding, what exactly how'd you start that you thought and figured out that would be the best way to get some chemistry within what you're gonna start to produce?
Start before anyone starts anything. It's got to do it, hasn't it? It's got to roll. So you've got to put at start. When I lived at Dog Track, I had 8 nest boxes, and I had 8 pair, and they were roller to roller. I didn't know, because when I got them, he didn't know if they were brother, sister, auntie, uncle, cousins. I just picked them, and they were roller to roller, and that's basically just about it. But past that, now, for the last 2 years, I have then established what I think are families. So in my own brain, and I've watched them in the sky, and I've seen the breaking pigeons, and I've seen the faster pigeons and the quality pigeons, and I think most of it's just luck. I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody else because I've done all right this year. I think I've done all right this year because of the time that I've spent in garden, the time that I've spent watching every single kit. You know, the breeding aspects there. You won't breed a pigeon if it didn't roll. I don't understand. See, I've listened for thousands of years over, and we've got an old friend called Billy. I'll tell you a little story. We went the other month, me and Ian, and the bird went 800 foot in air. It rolled. It didn't stop for 400 foot. After 400 foot, it lost consciousness. It fell down to about 25 foot away from me, hit a fence, and went on floor. I jumped over the fence for him, a big 8-foot fence. As I got up other side, he said, "Is it dead?" I said, "No, it's alive." He went, "Oh, I'll breed off that." I thought, and I've watched it, and then people say, "Oh, put it to a shorter pigeon." I've read on YouTube, roll down lofts. If you have a roll down over here, 9 times out of 10, it shouldn't ever even live, let alone. So yeah, that's where the standards come into it,
Yeah. Now, as far as you got Jose again. It says what kind of bird makes it to his breeding loft. But as far as the style, the style or how would you say the quality? What is a good quality to you that you're gonna be like, okay, that's what I need to make more of? And when I mean quality, I'm not just talking about the way it rolls. I mean everything about what it needs to do within the kit.
Yeah, but listen, a good kit pigeon is worth as much as a best quality pigeon. In my eyes, best individual birds aren't always the best. The best individual quality isn't always the best individual bird. You want the birds that are at the front that might do 15 foot, but they turn the kit over. Them birds are worth the weight in gold. Some people, Jerry, wouldn't breed off of them pigeons. The breed off of the one that gets back at kit, does the best roll you've ever seen for 40 foot, and then struggles to get back to kit, and by the time they get back, that kit's already gone over again. And that's where your preference comes into it. So it's all to do with viewers' preference. In America, they like them kind of pigeons. I've watched a video where there's 20 birds rolling, and they focus on one bird because it does 60 foot, and it misses house roof and goes back at kit and rolls again. And all videos are like, "Wow, did you see that, mate?" And it's just that's not the pigeons that you want to be looking for competition. They're the first pigeons that'll bring the kit down, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. They get too low, and the kit follows it. Yeah. So what's an ideal depth for you, and ideal kit sensitivity? Like how many times a minute would you say that it's what you want, and how much depth do you want it to have?
Well, I've got a young bird kit there that can break 20 times in 30 minutes. But they're just, once there's a wind, you've said this about a wind, or if they're not fed enough, or you miss your timing. So if you feed them yesterday at 10 o'clock and you're flying them today at 1 o'clock, you won't see the kit for 25 minutes because they've just not got it in them to fight to get back, if you know what I mean. So me personally, I think you'd want something between, a competition can be won in between 10 to 20 breaks. But young birds will do that, but they're not rolling right if they can do it. If you get an old bird team, they'll turn around in a circle, level up, break there. 9 times out of 10, they'll come back and do it in the same way. And you might get 10, 15 breaks out of them doing that, but they're a lot different than a young bird kit doing it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you want a bit more activity as young birds, but then if someone stocks a young bird, how do you know what it's going to do when it's a yearling?
Right. What will be one of the reasons that you think that someone, or maybe you, will want to stock a young bird?
I've done it because I've had to do it, but I've got some fantastic young birds in there. I've got best individuals and everything this year. They won't see stock shed. They won't see them this year, and if they're still there next year, they might have a chance, because to put a bird in, you've got to take a bird out from what you're used to, or what your plan is. So if you haven't got a plan and you're going to say end of year, I'll put one in. You want a 30-foot pigeon that can break 10 times in half an hour, 20 minutes, because you get 10 minutes over here off at clock. So, but you get some pigeons that won't roll for 10 minutes, and then they'll stick in a load of breaks. But the gelling and the unity of a kit is worth more than that one pigeon that you're going to put into kit, into breeders, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. And what about? I mean, how about early development? Would that be a reason to stock a young bird as far as 6 8 months? I mean, how's your
I'd
development?
want most of my rolling for it by 8-month-old. But you get some birds that'll start rolling at 3 months, and rather it's underfed or they just can't act the roll. They're just some things aren't meant to be rollers. Some pigeons, and you can get them out of your best pigeons. You get them have you ever seen them where they'll roll and the wings will flat, and then they'll go, oh shit, where am I going now? And then they'll look for an house roof.
Yeah.
So I think if you breed one of them, 2 of them or 3 of them out of a pair, that pair's obviously not meant to be together. But loft blind, 9 times out of 10, people leave them kind of pigeons together.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
And what type of body style or structure do you like to see in your pigeons? I mean, do you balance them out on the size of the pigeons that you want, or do you balance them out like feather quality, color balance? Is there anything you do other than just performance?
No, I don't like soft feathered birds. I don't like I had a 13-year-old cock that I got gifted last year, and all the babies, when it rained or if the kit were out, all the babies were the first ones down, and you could see through the feathers. The feather quality just wasn't. It were very poor. It were a very nice pigeon, and it bred some nice birds, but it bred bad quality into birds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So explain to us your theory on soft feathering and hard feathering.
Well, I'd always put hard feather to hard feather. I don't like soft feathered birds, so that's irrelevant. Colours, it doesn't really matter. Body type, I like a smaller, stockier kind of pigeon. Even an hen, I've got an hen there, a young hen, so it's only a baby. You could shave your face with it, but it doesn't stop for full 45 minutes. So I have no reason not to like it. I don't think I'll ever breed off of it because it's not got that the chest, the muscle, it's not just when I hold it, I think, well, there's not a lot to you. Don't mean it's any worse of a kit pigeon, but it'd never make it into breeders, and I think that's just a bit of preference, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't like long pigeons. I don't like big pigeons.
And how about your preference in do you have any color patterns that you just rather have and not have?
I have a lot of blacks, blue odd sides, checkers. I got gifted 2 reds that are in my young bird kit off of Ian. I don't breed off of many different colours. All these, Ian's got some lovely almonds and qualmonds and stuff. I don't know whether that's just because of the type of pigeon that I started with in the first place. But I don't really bother about colour. I don't like checkers for some reason. Oh, okay. Whether or not they can roll the cart roll, I don't think I'd ever put a checker into breeding.
I don't remember if you had any, but I didn't really see that many over there. Self pigeons, solid pigeons. Not too many of you guys like them over there.
No, don't like them. I don't like dark ones. I'd like a white pigeon. Don't get me wrong; it always looks faster. So, in my opinion, a lighter coloured pigeon always looks faster.
Oh, okay.
I've watched a lot of dark coloured pigeons, and Billy Jameson, he flies a lot of cells, a lot of red cells, checker cells, the black cells, so he breeds them. I honestly do not, because if they put in one little mistake, they look absolutely terrible. But if they get it right, they look really, really good. You know, if they do everything right. But 9 times out of 10, a pigeon won't roll bang on right every time. You know, it's because they just don't do it. It's like you doing a backflip. You know, they learn how to do it, but they've got to keep doing it. You know.
Yeah, and especially over there, you guys have more birds that have white on them. So if that
Mm.
solid colored bird, let's just say it's a black, or
Stands
like
out.
it'll stand out if it ain't doing what it needs to do. But I think it will
Yeah,
also stand out if it's doing what it needs to do. So I mean, it
yeah,
works
that's
both
it.
ways.
That's what I mean.
The Americans love them over here. They say they look faster here. But I mean, I got some selves that are bullets. You know what I mean?
If
So
they came over here, though, Jerry, and went onto a pigeon fly, the jaws would drop. Even the people with, I wouldn't say bottom markers, but people that aren't winning have some nice quality pigeons. Over here now, the competition's got that hard. You can't go anywhere without seeing a roller.
yeah. Another thing I noticed over there, that not only that there's a lot of roller fanciers over there, but there's a lot of tipper guys, racer guys, and you could see them driving around the mobs or the flock of birds. You know.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's an awful lot of racing pigeon men over here. Where I live, there's allotments down the road. There must be 20 lofts in one place.
That must have been.
20 on
I
one land.
I saw in a couple flies where, you have the homers joining in for a little bit, so it could be kind of a nuisance, like
Oh,
having so many pigeons. Or
yeah, you set them up for that one day, and 9 times out of 10, you don't know what you're going to do anyway. A lot of people don't, and then they go up, they're out for 5 minutes. It's like birds of prey. We sat and watched birds of prey attacking them left, right, and centre. Rollers coming into rollers, racers coming in. Then it's hard work over here. There's too many flyers in such a short area, and then you've got like your city pigeons. You've
yeah,
got a lot of town pigeons. I have here where I live. There's a lot of town pigeons.
yeah. So let's see. This is a question that everybody always asks too, like how the bird of prey over there, and I noticed a few attacks with the falcon while I was out there. Is it getting more brutal and brutal every year out there? How do you see that issue?
It's stupid. It's stupid. There's that many. I'm not going to say too much about it, but there's that many people in a short space of an area getting hit. So where I live, if the bird of prey comes to mind, which it does regular, there's 4 different spots. I can go onto Facebook and type in birds of prey sighting, and people are telling people on there right into Facebook and say that they're on Spot for a Flash, they're at Potterick Car, they're at the town centre, they're at Armfort, they're just everywhere.
Oh,
There's pairs everywhere.
so you guys have a community that log in where they at?
No, we don't. We don't. Not as pigeon flyers. I
Oh,
mean, in the bird watching group, because where I live, there's nature reserves. So Spotborough Flash, Potterick Car, then you've got Dennerby and places where Ian lives up there. People go out bird watching, and the first thing they do when they see a bird of prey or any kind of bird of falcon, hobbies, sparrowhawks, buzzards, kites, they type it into Facebook and say, "I've just seen," and take pictures. So they're still rife round here. There must be 4 or 5. I've been here one day and had 5 peregrines here at once.
jeez, yeah, it's getting
5
bad.
peregrines.
Are they protected over there as well?
Yeah, very protected. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
you could never do no to them, but it'll ruin the hobby. Roller pigeons are a lot easier to catch. Must be 1,000 town pigeons within a mile radius of my house. They never touch them because town pigeons learn quick enough that they're not flying in the sky. Fly
yeah,
above town. They're
yeah,
not going to go up into the sky.
yeah, yeah. And so let's go back a little bit on the breeding. So do you individually breed, or you open loft?
Open loft.
Open
But
loft.
I open loft because I've got to a stage now where nearly everything I know, everything in my breeding section I know rolls, for one. That's one thing. And two is most of them are related. I've put brother and sister together. I've put sister and not sister, mother and son together. I've put all that together. Now I just go roller to roller.
Right.
You get less problems, pigeons. I've got a strain of pigeon in at the minute that I got off of a lad, and the babies seem to fly fast. They're very skittish, and I've crossed them this time with my own, just as a tester. I've flown all 4 pigeons, so there's no problem with the pigeons. They were never skittish, but it just seems like the babies off of these 4 pigeons are skittish when they get to 3-4 month old. The first ones to leave, the kitty poult comes, and they've never really been hit. So I don't understand. They're a bit of a nuisance trying to fly them, to be honest with you.
Would you say for somebody that is getting started in the hobby, or even deciding to go with something else, or to go forward, and let's just say like you got a few different strains from different people. Does it matter? Like, to be honest, like, you've bred dogs, you've been close to horses. I mean, do one needs to keep it pure and say, they cross it, you probably get the hybrid vigor, but after that you don't know what you're getting, or you might be picking up traits that you don't want with this. You might be ruining this bird and making these better. Well, what's your theory on that? Do you find it okay to just go ahead and start pairing what you got, so that in the future everything's close related, you building up your own strain, or is it best to always keep it separate? What kind of advice could you give that?
First and foremost, keep it simple. If you were a greyhound, say greyhounds, breeding greyhounds, you won't breed off of a greyhound that finished last of all of its life. So why would you breed off of a pigeon? Whether it's well bred, it might have the best parents in the world. There might be the Rose Bowl winners and everything. If that bird that you've bred doesn't show the same capabilities of its mum and dad, why would it ever go in breeding? But then what people do when they say strains, or when you're looking for something, you'll find nothing. So if you're looking for a strain of pigeon, you will put a bad pigeon in to get that strain, because it's mother to brother or sister to, like this, like that way. And I think that's where the problem lies with most strains and most people, is if you can't pick it out. So if a new starter come to me and say, Chris, I'm just starting up, I want to fly some kind of pigeons, what do I do? And I'd say, come, spend a bit of time, go on a few flies, and I've done it, and I'll help you out. And then when you know that they're right enough people, let them pick them out at Sky. Because a lot of people, whether over there, over here or not, will give a pair of pigeons to someone that hasn't bred them nothing, and say, don't put them out in Sky. They'll say, yeah, they're yours, please don't fly them. But how do you know what you're going to get? How do you know? So really, you're not helping anybody out by giving them shit. Sorry, my language, but
no, you're good. You're good. Language don't mean nothing.
Out by giving them something that they're not gonna. See, if you went and bought, like say Arabs from over there, they went and bought a racehorse. They won't buy a racehorse that won't winning. So why would you breed? They won't breed off of it. So why would you breed off of a pigeon that ain't doing it?
So you'll say,
that's my opinion.
You say eventually, like let's just say you go get a pigeon from, let's just say George Mason, and you went and get another pigeon from Dave Mosley. Eventually, you're gonna work that together and get the best out of to what's gonna create your birds, right?
Yeah, if you get a bird off of George Mason that's very active, does 15 foot, but when it does it, it can roll. You go to Dave Mosley's, it might not be just as active, but it's got more quality and a bit more depth. You put them together, you might get 15 foot slow pigeons. You just don't know until you try it. You know what I mean? But if you know what you're putting into them, well, you know what you should be getting out of them. If I give you 2 pigeons, send them over, you pay stupid amount. I don't sell pigeons. I will not sell a pigeon. I'd rather give it away knowing that I'm helping someone, rather than sell a pigeon to someone for them to come back to me and say that's not what I wanted. Because then I've just done all right, and I have been offered some money for some pigeons, and I've sat and wrecked my own brain for 2 weeks. What shall I do? What shall I do? And not, I ain't rich. I haven't got money. But the thing is, could I deal with the headache of people, what you help out or whatever, and saying, oh, that's not what I wanted in end up. That's not what you said that they were going to do. But with the kit pigeons, you can pick them out of the sky. Don't mean they're going to breed it.
Right. So you either way, I mean, you already got the pigeons for your future cultivating, knowing what they did. Now, whatever they produce, it's not going to be 100%, but you within what you produce out of there is where that's going to catch your eye, is where you go forward, huh?
Yeah, and that's, you've only got one person to keep happy. Someone said this to me the other day. You can only keep one person happy, and that's yourself when you sat in garden. If there's something you do not like in them pigeons, you get rid of them. But you don't sell them, because if you don't like them, everyone else ain't going to like them. So if I was sat in the back of that garden and someone says to me, wow, that's a right pigeon. Well, if I've noticed it, I've got something to do with it. I know what I want to do with it in end up. So there's no point me even thinking about selling it.
Yeah. And then for those of you that don't know what he means garden, that's backyard. We call it backyard. They call it garden. So I don't know what it like. We have competitive flyers and backyard flyers. So you guys will have competitive flyers and garden or garden flyers.
Yeah, backyard flyers basically just hobby flyers. It's people that do it for an hobby.
Yeah.
That's what they call it over here.
Do you would you keep a click pair together, or how would you, if you find, let's say, a pair that's producing, what would you do? Would you try to split them up or figure out which one is producing?
And this is probably a personal preference, but I always split them up. I've got a pigeon there that were picked out in all of England last year, a young bird. She has bred some absolutely fantastic birds with a mason, a mealy mason cock. But I bred him through an hen that were through a man that I got them off of a man that were from Mason. So they're not really Masons anyway, but I call it that. And no, I've not kept them together this time, no, and I won't do. I'll tell you, you're looking to find something different, I think.
Yeah. How many offsprings do you look into breeding every year?
Last year I bred.
And out of how many pairs?
When I was in Askin, I bred off 8 pair. When I moved here, I bred off 12 pair. I went up to 16 pair. And I'm putting 20 pair in this time. But I'm not putting 20 pair in because I've bred all year. I've bred 140 birds. I've give 40, maybe 50 away. I could have sold them, don't get me wrong, could have, but I've given them away. So I left myself with about 90. I should have about 80 odd left altogether. I might have even bred a few more. There might have even been 160, to be honest with you. But as long as they've got good corn, they're treated well, they're fed well, they're watered well, plenty of ventilation, and they're not poorly or spewing or out like that, they can keep doing it, because they'd do it under a town bridge, wouldn't they?
Yeah. When do you guys start breeding over there?
I put my pairs together on the 1st of December. So that they're ready to ring on the 1st of January.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of what I started practicing. I pair them up around mid-November, toss their eggs, and then mid-December, up and going now. Yeah. So what's best to feed the breeders? What do you like feeding them?
A lot of people feed breed and wean, which is peas, beans, darry, safflower, wheat. Bits and bats like that. I like to feed my breeders on heavy, so I feed them peas, beans, and tares. So it's an old-fashioned mix over here. It's called number 1 mix. A lot of racing men use it. So you say, the beans are too big for them, but they're not. And the babies are actually quite, they've got a good muscle on them. They're healthy as always, shining. But what I do is when they're hatched, the day that they hatch, I'll put them a bit of conditioner or a bit of smaller seeding just for a week or so like that, you know.
Yeah. Do you medicate at all?
You know, last year I medicated every 3 months. As soon as I seen a little bit of water in bottom of kit boxes, and I over medicated babies in nest, if I'm quite honest, because every time I thought in my brain I thought they needed it. So since June, just before June, I haven't medicated anything. I used to do it every 3 months, cocci and canker. Not 4 in 1 it's called over here. So it's cocci, canker, worms, and parasites. And I was doing it every 3 months. And then I hadn't done it, and you know the birds are completely different. They're always healthy. They're not knocked down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Do you ever introduce your breeders back into the sky?
Fly. No. Yeah, mate. The old bird kit. The old bird kit that has flown. I bred off of 8 of them this year. And then for the old birds in April, I brought them back out.
Yeah.
I brought them back out, and then I put them away again. But the majority of them are late bred yearlings in my old bird kit, to be honest with you. So I'm going to try and breed off of some of them.
Oh, okay. What about let's talk about your young birds that you're, from the moment you wean them from their parents. What's your process of introducing them to the sky? Do you just cage train them and
No.
and let them out, or change their feed? What do you do?
Yeah, I change them straight onto wheat. The first things first is they've got to be comfortable where they are. So they've got to be at an age where I probably take them away a lot younger than a lot of people. Some people will leave them in till they're 30, 32, 33 days old. At about 25 days old, I like to get them out and just leave the kit box door open. There's no cage. They're not scared. And then what they'll tend to do is they'll fly out and fly back in. They'll fly out, fly back in. Then they'll fly onto the shed roof. And then where I live is tall houses. I never scared them up. I have scared them up, and I've lost 3 or 4 pigeons a time. Where I live, it's a lot taller houses, and you're in like a ginnel kind of thing. But yeah, just best way to do it is straight onto wheat. You can control them a lot easier on wheat. Then people will think, oh, they're only babies, I'll give them some conditioner. First thing they do when you give them conditioner is they come out of a kit box and it's sky. So, and the same with multivitamins. Multivitamins, people think pigeons need multivitamins. They don't need any. They need apple cider vinegar and garlic water, and that's about it. Anything else you put in, you're going to get different out. Multivitamins is if you ever watch the kit and you give them multivitamins, the day after they'll go like dots in the sky, you can't see them. That's why. People don't understand that. They think, hey, I wonder why this kit's gone up into clouds, you can't see it.
Yeah. And what how old are your birds when you start seeing them come in and then turning over, and how old are they when you start seeing them spin competitive wise?
What mine tend to do, they'll learn themselves how to roll, so they're not daft. They'll come in and they'll do quick flicks, but not 1-2 flicks. They'll do 1. Day after they'll do 2 or 3. Then they'll do 4 or 5, and then they might stop rolling until they get into kit. And then once the kit starts getting a bit of activity, I think that's when they'll learn themselves properly. Might be 4 months, 4 or 5 months. They come on a little bit earlier than what I would think with anyone else's, to be honest with you.
And do you like measure the ratio of feed that you're giving them for the or I mean, or do you care much of how much time they fly, or what I mean, what are you looking at on the young birds when
I think, unless they don't do 30 minutes, half an hour, say if they do under that, they're obviously probably underfed. You tend to not, unless you leave them in for 4 days and give them a tin and a half at time, roller pigeons, people say they're fat. They're not fat, they're just lazy, if anything. You know, no, to me, I like them to do an hour, a tin of baked beans, a baked bean tin, of wheat, and just see how that. And if they don't do what you want, give them a bit more. If they do too much, give them a bit less.
Yeah, pretty simple. You're the coach, huh? You need to know what you're doing, what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, sometimes we overthink things, and we mess them up,
I once got taught something that a pigeon is a master deceiver. So you can feed them a tin of wheat, and they'll still have the wings up when you're taking tray away. And a lot of people, what they'll think, they still look hungry. Give them another tin,
Yeah, for sure. And do you tend to fly your birds like when they're ready, in that performance, and especially your competition kits? Do you fly them all cocks and hens together, or you like to separate them, or do you let them fly together, house them separate? What's your routine on that?
Well, I fly cocks and hens together. I think as young birds, once they start coming onto the roll, you don't have to give them as much food, because then if they're coming on the roll and you see a kit of young birds breaking, they don't need flying all the time. And when they're not getting flown, what people will do is they'll give them a full tin when they're not getting flown. So my young birds can go out every 3 or 4 days sometimes. But then if they come out and they're doing sloppy rolls and the breaks, or they're breaking too much, I'll put them out the day after, and they'll get a full tin. You know what I mean? So it's all to do with you watching. It's observing. Well, if you put a kit up in the sky and then go sit and watch telly for 10 minutes and go outside, or go make a brew and go outside, you're going to lose what's actually going on in your birds. You've got to observe them an awful lot more than what a lot of people do.
Right. And then, does that work as the same as your fly time? I mean, I know on the young birds, a certain age you want to fly them, every day if you can. But I mean, to when they get to the point where they're ready, to put up some scores, is there a preference in your schedule on when or how many days do you rather have them fly to where they don't burn themselves up, or they don't get too fat, and you could keep them right there on the lean, or right on the board to where you could bring them down or up, or however you want them? What about the fly time? That determines a lot on the conditioning. So
yeah, and that's where they start. So you start messing about with a bird's food, or flying so basically a young bird. If you fly a young bird every single day, twice a day, they're going to want more than 1 can of corn a day. They might even get to 2 cans. But if you get a kit that's just doing 40 minutes to an hour, and then you're flying them every 2 days, they will start having more activity. You know what I mean? It's all to do with getting them fit. It's all to do with knowing your pigeons. You should know when to put them up and when not to put them up. You should know when to give them. I've messed up so many bleeding kits, giving them breed and weed, and giving them conditioner, and like you think 3 days before, tell you what, let's change something. Let's get a little bit more out of them. 9 times out of 10, it don't work.
I've done that mistake too. I've ruined the birds, thinking that and I'm gonna break them down to the point where they get so active. But yeah, they did get so active, but they couldn't elevate and they landed early.
Or kill themselves.
Or kill themselves. Yeah. Hey, I've had times where I've had them, man, super active, flying low, and they come around the houses and 4 or 5 birds at a time. Oh man.
But that's when you've got to know that 4 days before the fly. I always give mine 3 days in. So the 4th day before I fly, and I fly them. If I know that they were breaking 3 weeks ago, and I start then breaking them down a little bit so I can get the most out of them, you've got to know when not to do it, and you've got to know when to do it. I think that's the key of being a good pigeon flyer. And then weather over here takes an awful lot more of a. So if you break a kit of pigeons down, and then you start feeding them up, and it's 40-mile-an-hour winds like it is over here, you won't see that kit of pigeons. They're better off with just a tin and a quarter of wheat every 2 or 3 days, flying them every 2 or 3 days, and don't change anything, because they're going to handle the wind an awful lot better than they would if you take them down to the bottom and then try and bring them back up.
Right.
You can't get an active kit in wind because you will never see it.
Yeah, you break them down too much on the wind, man. They're either gonna, especially if for whatever reason that wind skies them up, they ain't gonna be able to come down. They're gonna be too deteriorated.
Well, we don't have that here because we've got a lot of lower pressure over there where you are. It's a lot sunnier. There's a lot more higher pressure.
Yeah.
Over here, they end up scooting across rooftops, or they can't get up rather than get down. Well, that's my opinion. If I've got a kit that's too heavy, and I'll know when I let them out, because they'll try and get to a certain height and they'll start rolling, and then they'll get blown down the road. But it's same with birds that are light. If you get a white pigeon over there with that high pressure, 9 times out of 10, it'll lift.
Yeah.
It'll be up in clouds.
Yeah. And especially if there, you know what I'm gonna tell you right now. There's certain strains here, and it's happened to out of quite a few people. When they sky out, they lose the whole team, and it could be a yearling team, 2-year-old. But when that happens, boom, they're gone. They're never seen.
9 times out of 10, it's body condition and overfeeding. So if their body condition's light and you give them too much food, well, they can't finger this. You're better off, if you're over there, you're better off feeding heavy but with one corn. I bet a lot of them kits that fly off are all on mixed corn.
Yeah. I'm very glad that you came up on here, because these podcasts right here, it's gonna bring this hobby to another level, and getting this knowledge just like from someone like you. I mean, I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of information, and people out there should take this an advantage, because this is everything that you are saying here is on point. You know what I'm saying? And that tells me, that is a big reason why you're killing it out there, straight up. You know what I mean? But we have different things to look at. Like we're talking about competition. Let's talk about let's just say prior to competition. I'm gonna ask you that anyway. So, what is your program when it comes to getting your birds prepped for a competition, with feed, with training, with flying time, rest? What is very important? And I know we just talked about we got to visualize what's going on with the birds to determine what we need to do. But let's just say you're headed out and you have okay weather to prep your birds. What are you looking at?
Right. Well, you fly over here. We fly May, so start March. I don't do an awful lot different from Dave Mosley. Dave Mosley was the one that told me about. He says about the balancing them out and feeding them and everything else. I think you can overfly them and underfly them. If it's a young bird kit, they've got to be doing it in first place. You've got to get to March and April, and they've got to be turning themselves over. I wouldn't mess too much with the food on them. I'd mess more with I like keeping my young birds heavy so they don't lift. And if they've got good body on them and they've never had a good bit of muscle, you can always then mess about with the amounts of food you give them. So if you leave them in for 2 days, 3 days, but give them half a tin of wheat, when you bring them out, they're not going to be starving hungry because they haven't done that for 2 days.
And we had a question. George Pena says when he says tin, is that like a 13-ounce can, or what exactly is your tin? Because
440 milliliter can. Is it baked bean, like a bean can?
Okay, sorry for interrupting you, but go ahead.
Yeah, so listen out there, if it's warm, if you're in a warmer climate, then they don't need as much. They won't need as much food. An old bird team in a warm. I can fly my old birds over here in summer on just over half a can of wheat. That is basically next to minimal nothing, but they get a lot of rest. So, but then if they come out and they only do 20 minutes, I might give them a little bit extra. I might build them up a little bit. You know what I mean? It's all to do with yourself. But yeah, an old bird kit. If they're doing, if I can get them well fed and well feeded, and they're not pairing up, you're on that borderline of pairing up and good body condition, but they can do 2 hours. Bearing in mind if it's good enough weather, you can start taking that little bit of a scoop off them 10 days before. I always do it with old birds. 10 days before, fly them. You want them coming out 2 hours, but in the first half an hour, 40 minutes, they're coming out and they're just not doing a lot. And then they'll break, and then they won't stop breaking for half an hour. And then they'll fly around for another hour like bleeding racers. But you know that they're feeling probably the best they can feel, but without being paired up, you know what I mean? And then you can start taking that little bit off of them. Everyone does it differently. Everyone. And I think climate, if you're in a colder climate, people from up Canada or wherever else, they will always want that little bit of extra. I like it in the winter over here because you can give them a tin and a quarter and you know what you're going to get out of them. You give them a tin and a quarter in the middle of summer, you might lose a kit of pigeons. So it's knowing what you're doing all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they in the cold they still burn a lot of fat when they're perched up, you know?
Yeah, so they sound perch, freezing cold, and you're giving them a tin. 9 times out of 10, they won't want to do 20 minutes. I always fly kits of pigeons on Christmas Day. It's what I've always done with a drink in my hand. Have a beer on Christmas Day and fly pigeons. You know what I mean? And over here, it's not normally too cold at Christmas, but it might be like 4 and 5 degrees. I don't know what that is over there. But yeah, and when they're well fed, they'll fly.
Nice. And what do you see? I know you guys have different categories when in your guys' competition, and we'll talk about that right now. But what do you see you having most chemistry? Right here, a lot of people say that the ideal kit, and you know when we compete over here, we compete a 11 bird kit and a 20 bird kit. So I mean, it doesn't matter what you have in that kit box of age or gender or whatever. It's 20 birds, it's 20 birds. But what do you see that you have more of teamwork, chemistry, and performance? And when I mean is all the ideal quality, proper pigeon in the competition. Would you see older birds, or could you see yearling birds? I mean, versus young birds. Where do you see where they're on point? A lot of people say that older birds, they kind of slow down a little bit, might be good for the break, and some yearlings, they have more endurance and you have more quality. What do you see in your birds?
I think the older a bird gets, the better it should get. So people say, if you get 9 times out of 10 over here, you get a young bird that comes out and rips the sky up, and it's a wild pigeon. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't make it to next year. It doesn't make it. Dave Mosley thingied on it. Like, there are a lot more quality pigeons in up Middlesbrough, and he says that they didn't think. I've watched some nice pigeons in old birds, yearlings, young birds, but 9 times out of 10, it's to do with the person in it. I like my older birds or yearlings, because I think as a young bird, they can make an awful lot of mistakes. But you flick through them, don't you? You sift through the best. So if your yearlings come out and they're absolutely shy, well, what were they as young birds? Because they can't have been much good. They should really get better with age. It's like a wine, innit? They should get better with age, and that's just how I think it is. Whether they steady off or they don't steady off. My old bird's got 14 breaks in all of England. That's not bad to say that they're old birds, is it? So I think it's with plenty of rest. I think all birds need rest.
Do you seem to well okay, like what how old is they just say the majority of your birds in your older team, and if if those birds are not quite there, or that you just don't need to stock them for your breeding loft, would they stay there, or is there a time, an age where you say, okay, you know what, this is too old for this team, or do you just go start knocking them off as other ones progress? How does that work for you?
No. Well, what's happened, I'll tell you. When I lived in Asken, I had 12 breeding pairs and 4 kit boxes full of pigeons. I finished third in the All of England. When I came here to the new house, I bred a kit of pigeons in Asken. And when I came here to the new house, I tried to settle 2 kits of pigeons, and I lost 2 kits of pigeons. So I give the kit of pigeons that were third in the All of England young birds 163 points, really nice deep pigeons. I give them away. So I bred myself a kit. My old bird kit in there is 16 of them late breds. Now the percentage is absolutely mental, but that's because I knew what I was doing at the time. It wasn't luck that I had the third in all of England, and that old bird kit there I bred in November. 16 of them birds I bred in November.
Wow.
So the moral of the story of that one is they're actually yearlings, if anything. The older they get, I've just stocked 5 pair of them, but I haven't stocked them. I'm gonna. It's what they call like a tester. So they might breed some load of rubbish, but they're going back out in April. They'll go back out because they haven't proved themselves. They might have done what's 10 month, 12 month of flying really, really well, but they're not stock pigeons. If I'm quite brutally honest with you.
Getting into competition, I want to talk a little bit about the English system of how do you guys compete. I know you guys got several flies, so let's start off there. What main flies do you guys have in a season, a fly season, or during the year, whatever?
We have as club flies. So start of year, we have club flies. So we have young birds. Old bird and yearling is in May for us. I fly in 2 different clubs. So I fly in Yorkshire Pigeon. Yorkshire's the area. And Steel City, which Steel City is basically Sheffield club. I fly in them 2. We have 4 flies in 4 weeks, which is old bird and yearling, like that. And then what we do then is there's a bit of a break up to the All of England. So in round about end of July, beginning of August, the All of England starts. That's when you came over.
Right.
So you have 3 categories in the All of England. You have young bird, yearling, and old bird.
So on the All of England, you can't fly a kit of everything together. It's got to be either or.
No. You can fly a kit of yearlings and old birds, yearling and anything together, but not young birds. Young birds are young birds. They've got their own. They have their own category. Okay. So they stick to their own. We don't have a mixed. We have an any birds kit, an any bird fly, which I won this year, but we flew that in September, beginning of September or something like that.
So walk us through your All England fly. What does it consist of?
It consists of 3 different categories. I think about 8 or 9 different areas all around England. So basically Bradford. So there might be 2 or 3 days in Bradford because there's a lot of flyers in such a small area. Middlesbrough, there's a lot of flyers in such a small area. Then you've got Newcastle, Sunderland, Durham. Then you've got like here Doncaster, Sheffield, Barnsley. Then you've got Nottingham, Leicester, Coventry, all them ways. We even have them down in London, which that's the 3 and 4 hour drive down to London and then watch a few kits and come back up. So, yeah, and then basically that's it. It's over 13, 14 days, a lot of kits and a lot of miles, you know that yourself.
Yeah, and then so you get so you go ahead and get the champion of young, yearling, and the old bird, and then what is that?
Yeah.
What they call the like the
Rosebud. Yeah.
yeah rose bowl. How does that work?
Rosebud is the best individual pigeon on the whole entire fly. So it's basically old, young, and yearling. It's the best pigeon on the whole entire fly. So if you have that kind of pigeon out of, might be a fountain, well, no good with sums like, but there might be over 1,400 pigeons flying. You know what I mean? And to have that one pigeon is like, it's a, Gordon won it this year actually.
Wow, and that's got to be an outstanding pigeons, and to keep that pigeon in mind through all the flies, it's gotta stand out.
Yeah, well, I've just gone through to nationals, Jerry, with the old birds. I finished second, and I got best individual old bird out of the old bird categories. And we have had bad weather, but that to me, that pigeon will never see sky again. It's something to be happy about. It's a prized possession now.
So you got the rose bowl, and then you have within the All England fly, you have the
you have champion novices. So you have a champion novice young bird, champion novice old bird, and a champion novice yearling.
What does that mean?
So basically, if you finish fourth or fifth and you've never flown in it before, you end up becoming champion novice. Bear in mind, if no one above you has ever got a champion novice before.
Oh, like a rookie.
Yeah. So I got it third last year with the young birds. I got champion novice young bird. But I've just won all of England old bird. And I didn't know till John Hall told me yesterday that you don't get champion novice old bird. So I'm like, oh, God. I thought I was getting an extra trophy.
And what about the, what do you guys call the best of all score or all score together?
Yeah, a merit shield. So I think there were 4 of us that got that this year. There were me, Bill O'Callaghan, Dino Foster. Even to have my name in that kind of vicinity is just out of this world. Honestly, 80 points. So the best quality pigeons, if you've got 8 quality pigeons, you get 80 points, which quality points aren't given away very easily. Wow. They've got to be the best of the best pigeons.
Congratulations! That's a big win, Oh, and then yeah. And then you guys have the all, the best of all, or
all scores. So the average, basically the average scores all together.
Yeah. What is there a certain? What do you call that? I forget. I know you guys have a name for that too, but it's like all the scores combined together. All your scores combined together, you got the highest.
If you fly 3 kits of pigeons and you're up there in like top 5 with all 3 kits, you've got a chance of getting the average.
Yeah, nice. And I know your guys' score system is way different than ours. Do you have any awareness or like a knowledge of how we run our score system?
I know that it's World Cup rules, isn't it? So you get 1 point summit for depth and quality and everything else. I get lost with it. You can easily get cricket scores, and we call them cricket scores. You get someone, and it's an easiest way to make scores up to 500 and 600 points at a time. I don't quite like it. I don't quite like the how they do it, to be honest with you. I think our way is a lot easier. You have 5 birds roll at the same time, you get a 5-bird break. You have 6 birds roll at the same time, you get a 6-bird. If you've got 6 best quality pigeons, you're getting 60 for quality, and then you get your kitting points. It's so easy. It makes it so easy.
Yeah. And then how do you look at your depth? I mean, we seem to give multipliers for depth.
That's all to do with the judge's preference. So I might find a 10-foot bird that's fast as all and give that 10 for quality, but then another judge might come and want the 40-footers. You know what I mean? So that's the thing that does get us over here for quality points. But I think over here, you don't want a bird too deep, because that bird's always at back at kit racing to get back. And if it does stand out and it is back there every time that the kit breaks, then then that might get the quality shield or the rose bold or whatever else. But for a kit of pigeons to break, they don't want to be breaking stupid amounts of decks, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So you guys okay, so you guys have your size of breaks. You go by the size of breaks. Then you have quality and you have kit points, right? Could you explain to us what categories is under quality?
Well, it's not a rose bold, is it? Because a rose bold is the best of the best of the best. I think quality has to be the birds that roll correct, finish correct, and get back to the kit just at the right time. You know what I mean? They don't. I think a deeper pigeon struggles to get back an awful lot more. I think it's all to do with preference. If a kit's breaking 40 foot, so if you get more than 5-6 birds breaking 40 foot, 9 times out of 10 they're strung out a little bit over here. You know, so yeah, I think quality is down to the eye of the beholder. I think I like them 30 foot. I think 30 foot's perfect. You'll get 10, 15 birds that are breaking 30 foot. You're not going to get 10 bird breaks 9 times out of 10. They might give you 6 and 7 or 8. That's just the way it's harsher over here.
Yeah,
but not like there.
And how does the point system work for the quality?
You get 10 birds, 10 quality points per bird that's meant to be rolling correctly.
So you add up the point, or you subtract?
No, so it's 10. So basically, if you get 5 bird breaks, five bird breaks, you've got 25 points. You've got five birds that are getting 10 quality each. That's 50 points. You're 75. Then you're kitting.
Okay. Okay. So the 10 points is per bird, or the ideal for the whole kit? Per bird.
Per bird. There's no multiplier. I don't like that. You're just getting 10 quality points per pigeon.
So
that is rolling.
So, okay, so that'll be 200 points that could be added.
Listen,
depending. That's on the 20 bird. That's on the 20 bird.
Yeah, you're not going to get it. Irrelevant. You're not going to get it. This is my honest opinion. You can get 10 8-bird breaks and get 50 for quality. It's just the way it goes. No one likes giving out quality points because they've got to be the best of the best. You can have pigeons that are rolling the nuts off, but they just might not be finishing right. But they'll still judge them as a break.
They'll still be.
But but then 9 times out of 10 they might do a 10-bird break. You see 10 birds turn over at the same time. They might give a 6-bird break because 4 of them pigeons. But if you're on a split second, if you're watching a kit, an active kit, you haven't got much time to count. You know what I mean? When they're steady off and they're doing 1 or 2 breaks, yeah, you've got time to count the birds that have rolled. You get a kit of pigeons that get back together, break, get back together, break. You're going to lose track of counting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's one thing I liked about the way you guys score. It made it much easier to view and analyze what is really going on versus trying to decide whether all birds are equal to you. You're gonna reward them a certain score for like.
Let's got into that World Cup rules, but I don't like it. I don't see how you could make someone win by giving them a multiplier of 1.7, say, when really that could be your friend or someone that flies your pigeons or what, to someone that's actually got 10 bird breaks and the quality is showing. So if you come to my house and 10 other people come and they see 6 quality pigeons, 9 times out of 10 you know that judge is going to put on the piece of paper 60 for quality. And if it isn't 60 for quality, and it's 80 or 90 or 100, then half the time you know that it's that's down to judge's opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all to do. That's all it is. But a judge is a judge, and it's an opinion of them, innit?
Yeah. So now, let us know how does the kitting points work, and how do you award them the kitting points? How does that work?
Well, so you fly 20 pigeons. Basically, over here, we don't like them strung out. If they're not kitting, if there's not a group of 20 pigeons that are mainly basically as close together as possible, you have one or two that are rolling and hanging around bottom at kit, or that are doing their own thing or lifting at clouds. You're not going to get points for them. So you've got 1 point per bird that is in the kit at the time that kits.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd get one or two kitting points over there.
Yeah, yeah, and so do you feel? I mean, what you feel you could? I mean, you're very competitive. I could see that, and you're doing real good on the English, events or competition, and with their rules and the way they determine their judging and scoring. Do you see that you could do good in the World Cup in the future?
Right. I think the World Cup these days, they like activity, don't they? Activity and depth. For my pigeons, they do what they do. For me, I think I've not flown in any World Cups, but I don't know. It's a judgment, isn't it? Well, Sean Overfield and people like that, they've all done well, and you know what I mean. I'm not back marking them. I'm not right behind them. You know what I mean. On a good day, I think my pigeons will do all right, but it's all to do with a judge. You get a judge that likes an active kit. I've seen kits being judged, and you think that want a break, and next minute 7, 8, 9, and I'm like, I actually went round on the World Cup fly, and I was like, I think, did Danny do it or something?
No, he did.
There's a different.
He did the Euro, all Euro.
Oh, Euros, that were it. That's the same, isn't it? That's the same with the depth and quality and the thing.
Correct.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of movement.
How'd you see? What'd you think about that? How about the way it got scored?
I think it's not to do with any personal preference of anybody else. I think we do it over here an awful lot different than what you do over there. You know what I mean? Keith Story has just judged the nationals over here, and he is one of the hardest judges. But he's not just hard for any reason. He's hard because he's a very, very good pigeon man, and he's a very, very good pigeon flyer. He likes them depth. They've got to roll with quality. They've got to break clean. A lot of breaks are clean. You're getting 3 or 4 pigeons up front that are rolling a foot or two before rest at kick goes. And people are like, wow, do you see that? 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't judge that.
So the timing ain't quite there. And so that has to do with a teamwork. I mean, they're working as a team, so they all got to work together to score. And I see what you're saying. When I was out there, I got to see that what Dave Mosley was scoring and what he wasn't scoring. So it was just a slight timing, and to where he was like, oh, that could have been a good one, but I'm only going to award him this.
Pigeons up front that are just spoiling it. I call it the handbrake effect. You want a kit that comes up, levels at the same time and goes. That's my preference. I like them when they do that.
Yeah. I mean, I see it at my house with my birds, and I could clearly see the birds that go before or even after the big break, and I mean, I could see where there are judges that would consider that a big score, I mean, when it's really, and you got the distance of the break where it gives you time to evaluate those 6 birds or whatever, versus it happening so fast.
Yeah, it's all to do with what you like, though. There's people that like active pigeons, not very deep, and they'll score them. There's people like myself. I like them about 30 foot. There's people that like them an awful lot deeper than that.
Yeah. Hey, is your son around?
1 minute, I'll get him.
Yeah.
Bobby, come on. Come down there.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a good kid.
He's an absolute belter. You know, I've had him since he was 3 weeks old on my own.
Oh, for reals? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up, bud?
Hi.
How you doing?
Hello.
Okay, listen. Listen. So, I've been talking to your dad, and we talk about feeding the pigeons and all that, right? So, I know that you're not gonna lie to me. So, tell us right now, what does your dad feed his pigeons?
Wheat,
Well, what do breeders get?
breeding food,
Yeah.
Wheat and breeding, that's all I keep.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bit of condition,
and sometimes a bit of garlic, wheat.
garlic water.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you help your dad with the birds?
Sometimes.
Does the birds mean how much? What does the birds mean to your dad? I mean, are they very important, or what? How do you see?
Like his own kids that he raises up.
Talk to him then.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he said it's like his own kids.
Oh yeah.
Treat them as my own. Yeah. It's as important to me as anything else.
He
And
spends
they
a
are
lot.
because
He spends a lot of time
I
out
don't
there with his birds, huh? Huh?
yeah, tell him how much time I spend out there.
About 90% of the day.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was good meeting you. You're a good kid, and do good in school, and you must be doing something to help your dad, because he's working. He's winning a lot out there. So I'll let you go back
He
to.
asks a lot. He's not a very needy child, so if I go outside, he's not dumb. So I know I can sit in here on his iPad, and if he needs any food cooking, I come back in. But it's not like out there where it's a backyard and you've got a lot of space. Go on.
I know how to make my pot noodles, so if he doesn't need it, I can make my own.
He knows how to make his own noodles, he said.
Oh, good.
So he can make his own now.
He allows for the slack for you to be out there and spend the time with the birds. That's good. Yeah, I mean,
You put all pigeon flies and that, don't you?
Yeah.
Hey, who's one of the guys that you like to see best on their pigeons? Do you think they have the nicest pigeons?
Who is it, man? Who's got the best pigeons apart from me? Tell him.
Gordon.
Gordon. Yeah, Gordon. Nice.
Tell you who he actually loves and he gets on with really well. Old John Huntington.
John Hunted. As a matter of fact, I had going over there is mainly building up memories. You know what I'm saying? And hanging out with John Huntington was very good, and it's something that I remember forever. And he actually gave me permission, and he said that I'm the only one that he'll give permission to get Roller Man 2 right here. You know how he has Roller Man?
Yeah.
He has Roller Man tattooed right here, and he says as long as you put a 2, because he's 1, And then
when he's on flies and that, Bobby will say to him, "Do you want me to get you out?" And he's like, "Go on, get me that kid and get me this." And you like him, don't you?
Yeah,
Go on.
that's good. I mean, we would like to see you more. What do you say?
Let's ask him, Bobby.
You want to ask any more questions?
Oh, we're good. We'll let you go and play some video games, but keep up
On
the.
his iPad on Roblox, it's called.
Okay,
Yeah,
hey,
And
make sure you like and subscribe to my channel.
yeah, hey, he could do that for you.
Yeah, so yeah, we would like to see you put a name out there. It may be the top 10 on the World Cup, man. You gotta push yourself, man.
Well, I think what's that? Is that in another 2 years or something? Is it World Cup?
They just had it.
Yeah.
After COVID, yeah, it was 2 years.
Yeah, I think I'll be established enough by then to know what I've got and what I haven't got. I don't need an awful lot more pigeons. I just got to work with. I think if I was stable enough to be happy with what I've got and what I've won this year, and if I were happy enough with it, I won't get anywhere next year. So I've got to make some changes and be happy and be in and out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Well, you guys definitely have the community out there to support each other and keep it going. By the way, I love the vans. Talk to us about those vans with the logos, man.
Pages. Hey, I seen a comment where he says something about £10 pigeons with a man in the red van. What was that about?
That was I meant Phil McKenzie.
Oh
Phil
yeah,
McKenzie. But
yeah, no,
I was just messing with him. He messes around with me too.
yeah, no, the red transport vans. Basically, it's the crew cabs. So they've got three front seats at front and three seats in back, and they form them that way to so they go around on flies and that. They've got big stickers on back with roller clubs on and that, haven't they?
Yeah, they're pretty nice, pretty neat.
Yeah, lads, you know them. I'll tell you now, Jerry. Them Bradford lads, they're so dedicated. Ash, Governor, and Mark McCory, Page, Dom, a lot of them, they're so dedicated. They will go around on every pigeon fly. Mark McCory has just been around on all the national fly, all the thingy. At one point, they're just actually ambassadors of the sport, to be honest with you, over here. Because they can be in Middlesbrough one day and they can be in Birmingham next day. And they're there watching pigeons, supporting people, advice, everything. Honestly, they're ambassadors at sport, to be honest with you.
Nice. Yeah, maybe with your help, I could get him on here for as a guest. That'll be. I'm trying to. Was that?
I'll ask Ash for you. Ash Governor is called.
Yeah.
Ash did well in nationals and that last year, and he's done all right this year. So he's a nice and they're lovely guys. They're good men. They might be like. I don't know if Crime Watch will be on here like.
That was that?
I don't know if they'll do it with Crime Watch that watches, police.
Oh yeah. I really like to get those guys for the reason that I think it's very important that we all come to an understanding of what we all do around the world. It's just another it's on another level of pushing this hobby to being even better and bringing in new people. When we are all tied in together and have a bigger community out of where we just are used to being, and now we get to be here and we're live, everybody's watching, and it's very important. So
as I see it, look at racing pigeon men. They're selling Chinese, like, not saying no names, but I've been offered some money for them for the old bird kit this year that won All England, finished second in nationals and stuff.
Oh, I bet you have.
It worked out not even £50 a pigeon. I said, if there were a racing pigeon man in this country that hit the combine, went into nationals and won numerous club flies with one pigeon or 10 pigeons, they'd be worth 10 grand a bird.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I just don't think that's not what I mean by that is I don't mean people should start selling the best of the pigeons, but I mean that's where the hobby goes from. It's like greyhound racing over here now. It went from massive up there. The Derby were like brass bands and party everywhere, and now it's gone down to where there's nothing, And I think that's where the roller pigeon men need to now get together and grip it by the thingy and build it up to what it is, because it's an hard enough hobby to stand in your back garden and get nothing out of it. There's no money involved, like racing pigeon men. They might get 10 grand for winning a big race. There's £1 million races. Over here, you don't get you don't get anything. Not that I want anything or anyone does want anything. But if we haven't got unity, like everyone be the opinions and everything else, and the hobby won't carry on going. It's like the All of England. The stuff that people do for the All of England behind closed doors and the help that we're getting with each other and stuff, the bickering and the arguing and everything else just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, big time. Like with me, if I like something, I'm gonna go after. And I just put a post that I posted last year, and it's a 10-footer, $100, 20-footer, $200. And you know what? And I had people already telling me, "Oh man, that's a feather merchant, and oh, that's too much money." Come on, man. It's like
It was a joke, wasn't it?
Yeah, how do we
I seen
expect to get the hobby to burst like that when,
Yeah,
when people just hold it
the thing
down?
is, pigeons, and I wrote some on MBRA, is it's a gentleman's sport. Years ago over here, there were mining. There are a lot of mining people that started off with Birmingham rollers. They never put a pound or a penny onto a pigeon. But if you went down pit and talked pigeons all day with man you work with, you'd go back up, and 9 times out of 10, he'd lend you a cock to put to an end, or he'd give you a pair of pigeons so you could fly them in your back garden. And it's gone from that to the bickering and the hassle, not to money. It shouldn't be not to do with money. I agree with everybody, but 9 times out of 10, people is going to sell shit pigeons to people, and they value them and they're sending them backwards. Just be happy for the next man that wins. If I get beat every fly next year, I'd shake every man's hand and be still happy. You've been over here and you've seen the banter, the food that people put out, the community that we all have. We can go on a fly and we all have a laugh and a joke, and there's some characters that I think it's the way that it's going is it needs that little bit of a kick up arse, so more people come up flies, more people get into it. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure. And you know what? That's what it is. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you. We every house that I went over there, they had a spread. You know, your tea, your coffee, your the wives right there making sandwiches, and this is like house to house to house to house for 2 weeks. I got that hospitality of knowing that I was gonna get fed here. These people, you know, clowning around, but when it's time to get serious, it's open up that kit box and everybody's just watching, seeing what they're gonna do and seeing they're gonna outscore you. You know, I mean, that's what when it comes to competition, that's what it is. You know what I mean? And you have a fellowship. You know, not the, like you said, all the bickering and hating and look at you know, all the, you know, it's just get over all that. You know what I mean? Like this hobby
everywhere. Yeah,
this hobby
you get that everywhere. You get that in everything, don't you?
And you know what? This hobby is, you know, more than that, man. It's good, man. And you just gotta accept to give gratitude for the guy that took it. You know what I mean? The guy that's probably better than you, doing better than you. You know, you gotta shake his hand and go home and see how you're gonna outwin him the next time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I do. And listen, a man once said to me, Chris, when you start doing well, people will fall out with you. And it never clicked. And last year I started beating someone, and it clicked then. And he says to me, listen to this, he says to me last year, which has drove me all year, yeah, you did all right this year, but you probably won't do it next year. And I thought, yeah, yeah.
Well, you know,
that's the thing. I don't mind saying it. The man lives in the same vicinity as me. He was my best friend, and then when I left here, never talked to me.
Yeah, it's sad, you know, and we got to get away from that. I mean, like, we got to have that mentality, like, you know, instead of, you know, being a heckler like that, you know, wanting to hate on somebody because they're doing good, I'll be like knocking on your door and be like, hey, you know what, I need some of your pigeons because I ain't got that here, you know what I'm saying?
No. That's where it goes wrong. Do you know what I'd do? I'd knock on his door, and say, can I watch your pigeons? Because if I know what you're looking for, and then I know why you're picking me, I know what I'm going to go to that garden and watch.
I'll have to know what exactly is going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But so, and 9 times out of 10, every judge is different. But if one man in this country is doing well, stand next to him and watch his pigeons just as hard as what he watches them. Because when he turns around and says, did you see that then? And you're the first one to say no, you're not watching his pigeons. So if he says, did you see that then? And I'm always the one, oh yeah, I've seen that bird that's hanging out back at kit or went first or whatever. A lot of people they just don't. They're there for crack and for laugh.
Yeah,
I'll stand next to him.
Yeah, that's how I am, man. You know, I feel like I got some great pigeons here right now, and too bad I went through this damn virus, man, that almost wiped me out. But you know, that ain't gonna stop me. I'm gonna keep on going forward and keep on doing, because I got some competitive pigeons that I'm telling you, I'm gonna be dangerous here in the future. You know, I just need to weigh it out,
Make sure it starts first, though, Jerry.
the what?
If a bird kits, if a kit kits together, 9 times out of 10, the movement will move them anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like people say, does a pigeon have an epileptic fit when it rolls? Not really, because if you watch a kit of pigeons when they're babies, they might do a 3-foot break, like a twizzle and stuff like that. But you know you've got it in them, so
Right.
you know if you're flying them, they're going to get deeper and faster.
Right.
So really, it's the same with yourself when you're learning. If you just keep watching pigeons, they will one day turn around and you'll say, "Fuck it, do you see that? That's what I want out of them."
Yeah. Yeah. It's you gotta see what you're seeing, and you evaluate them, and then that you keep on going. You cannot just, I want to say ignorance, but I mean, there's a lot of people that just because it comes from a certain pedigree or a name, that they'll keep that pigeon for 10 years breeding off of it,
Yeah.
and they'll never go
Yeah.
forward with anything else. You're like, so but
Yeah, that's it. Or colour. Colour's another thing. They put this colour to that colour and that colour to this colour, and then you end up, they're just no better off than what they were in first place. And that, my mate Billy, he's got some feathered leg pigeons. They can roll, but they're all. He showed me his book the other day, and there's out of 8 of them, out of one pair, they had 5 that had killed themselves, 2 that he'd killed because they landed early, and 1 that were rolling. So it just shows that if he could pick all his rollers out at Sky, he'd be up top with a lot of people. He just doesn't know how to flip through them properly. Now I go over it once a month and try and help him and tell him, but he's old-fashioned and he's in his own way, and he enjoys his colours. He enjoys his feathered legs. He's a lot like one of them American flyers. Not you personally, but American flyers where they have this kit and that kit and they're happy with colours.
yeah, that's true. Okay, so we're almost coming close to the end of this podcast, so I want you to tell everybody where your accomplishments that you've done in the competitive world, and where do you want to be at? Where do you see yourself in the next 2-3 years, and what do you want to achieve in that time?
First of all, is getting out there and just spending more time with people. It's not, to me, it's about, listen, we all look forward to winning. If I can be up there in top 3 with club flies, all of England, 9 times out of 10 it's luck. You get the weather, you don't get the weather, you get a peregrine attack, the birds are right on the day, the birds aren't right, the build up or whatever. So yeah, I'd like to be top 3 with all of England. This year I have finished all of England, first old bird, 4th young bird, all of England. Last year, 3rd young bird, all of England, champion novice. And then I get Merit Shield this year with Dino Foster, Bill O'Callaghan. I can't remember who the last one is for some reason, but he's another top great pigeon flyer. They're not, Dino Foster's one of the best pigeon flyers in the country at the minute. And he's rock hard to beat, you know what I mean? So even just to be in the same vicinity of him in the top half of flying is, to me, it's like a merit in my own armour, you know what I mean? And then just any club flies, just be up there in club flies, try my hardest. Nationals is an hard time of year. This year I've been lucky really, because my second score, probably won't be in top 10 if a lot of people flew. But we had 40, 50 mile an hour winds. We had rain. There were a lot of bad aspects. I had probably one of the best days, but I'd give them conditioner. They come out and they were too active, flying fast like butterflies, and they stuck a few breaks in. Keith Story's fantastic judge is hard to please. So I was happy with the score that I ended up getting in first place anyway, you know what I mean? I was happy with that. But yeah, just to be up there, just spend as much time with people in the hobby as I can.
Okay. Now, one other thing popped out of my head, and maybe you could explain it, because I know you had a little thing. Tell us about the biscuit in the water, man.
I knew you'd do that. Right, well, what it was, 10, 11 years ago, 2012 or 2013, I'd gone round, like I said, and bought pigeons off everyone, non-kitters, this and that. Anyway, I ended up doing really, really well with behind Mark McCory. Mark McCory is probably, like Dino Foster, probably one of the best flyers in country. And I don't know whether it was Nationals or all of England or something. It was a massive fly. And I'm on Facebook and I'd messaged Don Butterworth and it says, how do I get a bit more out of my birds? He says, well, ring Bill O'Callaghan. So I rings Bill and Bill's like, he's an old swine, Bill. Honestly, so he says, don't tell anybody. I said, I won't. He says, seriously? I said, I won't. He says, boil kettle. I said, right. He says, put 2 custard creams in your water. I said, what? He said, custard creams is a biscuit. So a biscuit with
Right here, I think
with
right here, they're cookies, right? Biscuits they call cookies.
Yeah, so cookies with cream in the middle. So I boiled it up and I put it in water. Do not do it. If anyone's watching, do not do it. Anyway, so I thought, I'll put 2 more in, Jerry. I thought I'll put 2 more in, stuff it. Anyway, I goes in morning and they got sauerkraut and the crops were out here. And I looked at him and I thought, oh no. Anyway, so I kicked him out. They've done 3 turns, gone up, put in a massive brake, landed on roof. I thought, oh no, I got disqualified. Anyway, within the day, about 10 of them were dead.
Oh.
They've got him in the crop. So yeah, do not do it. It was a learning tip, that is for sure. Never, ever, ever ask another flyer how to get your birds to do better. Stand in your back garden and feed them different. Give them wheat. Give them anything that you can to do them. Give them breaks. Give them more food, less food, a bit of grit here and there. But never ask another man how to get them to do better.
So they're messing with you. Huh? They're messing with you.
Yeah, I learned quickly enough, but that's where everybody in the country now knows that.
Another word of advice for everybody that is coming up in this hobby, has been here in this hobby for a long time, and what can you give us that advice? You're doing real good in the hobby. You're just coming up strong real quick. What could you tell everybody?
Observe. All my life I've been a talker. I'm loud. I'm one of them that before I'd go on a fly and I wouldn't look at pigeons. I'd be talking as loud as possible. Judges would be saying, shut up. And a man pulled me aside once and said, look, you're never going to learn though if you don't look at the pigeons. And I said, why? He said, you're not going to learn though. He said, watch the sky. Enjoy the pigeons. The same thing is, don't go in another man's loft. Because it's just one of them things that's stuck with me. So yeah, the only way that you can learn before you buy any pigeons, if I were a new starter, before I bought any pigeons, and people don't understand when you say it, go around and observe and find the kind of pigeons you want. See if you can pick them out of the sky. 9 times out of 10 you can't. You can't pick good pigeons out of the sky because no one wants to get rid of them. I'm an hoarder. I hate getting rid of anything. Even bad ones that I know that can do all right. So yeah, if I were going to give anyone a bit of help or whatever, I'd just say observe, find yourself a group of friends that you like or a group of people that you can go on pigeon flies with. Enjoy the company. 9 times out of 10, they're going to help you. Don't overdo it. Make it simple as possible. Wheat and water, whatever you put in water's up to you. The wheat, they don't need to. I've seen these Americans Milo this and this, that, and this. You don't need it. They need to be balanced on wheat, and that's just about it. The over here, and it's same over there. The wheat has changed, so the wheat now has gone up to 14.5% protein because it's going out for flour. So they're making more money now on wheat to make flour, to make bread, to make other things. So the wheat protein has gone up. So 10 years ago, when you get a bag of wheat, so they say a tin of wheat, yeah, a tin of wheat, there might only be 11% protein. So the bird's body structure and what they're doing is completely different now. So it's completely different to what they did 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So that's one aspect that you've got to take into it. Find a feed that suits you. Find a type of wheat. There's hundreds of different wheats that you can go and buy. I like the stuff that looks like there's no. It looks bad. It looks near enough bad to chuck away. It's like there's no liquid in it. There's no colour in it. It's like rock hard wheat. I've seen wheat these days. You could put your thumb in it and leave an imprint. It's no good for pigeons.
Well, I wanna thank you for being a guest here. I'm glad I went over there and got to meet a lot of you guys. I wish that I would be able to spend more time and hanging out versus filming, but the filming is very important because I'm gonna share that with the world. I'm gonna try to do it to where I put it together as I saw it. So, but next time I'm definitely gonna go out there again, and I just want to bird out and hang out and bullshit with everybody and handle more pigeons. I didn't get to do much of that because I had a camera on hand all the time.
In your hand all the time.
Yeah.
But listen, if you're ever over without a camera and you want to come, you're always welcome to come over.
Yeah.
Come on our flies. Barney don't live far away. Bill O'Callaghan, I'm in the same clubs as all them anyway. You stayed there,
Yeah.
And we're not far away from Derby, if I'm quite honest. We're not far away from George Mason's is an hour away.
Yeah. No, most definitely. That's what I'm gonna do the next time. I'm not even going with my camera. I'm just getting a duffel bag of clothes because I don't need much. And make sure it's nice clothes because George Mason will take it from me at the end before I come back.
Hey, is it true that you top and tailed with Barney?
What's that?
Is it true that you top and tailed with Barney? You slept when you're on one bed and you sleep.
Oh, yeah. No. I'll tell you what, though. I did get to see Dave Mosley with his Superman underwear walking around.
I bet that was a bonny sight.
I turned around and it was one of these moments where I'm on bed and I turn around and like, what the hell? I'll tell you what, man, I had a real great time over there. I got to hang out with Barney and Dave for a long time, and I actually could say that I missed them when I came back. And there's times,
they're the people that are over here. Between them and thinking, the sport had been nothing without them. It's like you say, what Dave Mosley does for the All of England. I know it's not to do with America, it's not to do with all, but what he does for the All of England and what he's done to get it out of the deficit and political things. I take my hat off to him as a gentleman. And then going round on the fly and judging a full fly, it's just take your hat off.
Like I tell you, I there's times that I just miss them. Like I'll start playing a song that they're playing over and over in the car, just to get that memory of them driving. Dave Mosley, the grumpy old man, calling everybody a knithead. But yeah, it was a good experience. I highly recommend it for everybody, and even you guys. If you ever want to travel, come over here. I got you, man. Don't worry about. You just I'll why not, man? It was good. It could be a good experience.
Can't talk about it.
Okay. I got you. It's tough coming over here if you got issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. They don't like people in, and they don't let them out.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. But I had a great time, and I'm thankful for you being a guest here and giving me your time, giving the world your time. This is gonna be over here. I do have my Patreon channel, guys. Support that, man, because those are the funds that allow us to get more and more footage, and it's very. I don't know if you've checked out my Patreon yet, but you gotta check it out.
I'm no good. I am good with technology. Yeah. I added my own YouTube and everything, didn't I? But I've lost all email address, lost the password. I just can't get back.
Yeah, I'll send you a link, and for those of you who can see the on the bottom, you see the banner right there. It's patreon.com, Pigeon Broadcast. Check it out. I got a lot more interviews that are not on here on YouTube. That they're awesome interviews. I'm talking about hours and hours of content, and one of the reasons I'm coming up live and sharing this is just to show you guys what is the Patreon about and what could you see more. All my documentary stuff is on there, and I got a lot more plans and to keep this going on for the hobby. And this is something great that we needed, and it's here. And anybody that wants to help out in any way, contact me. We could put something together, So support is a big thing. Support all your clubs, support all your national clubs, all your flies is very important, and spread the word about this hobby. Is growing. It's going to be big like the racing hobby. It could even get bigger. Who knows? But we got to support each other, and all the bickering, put it aside. We don't need that.
Yeah, that's it.
But all right, so I want to thank everybody. Tune in for the next.
Thank you.
Yeah, tune in for the next one. I might have the World Cup champ. Right? I know he got on here live with Danny, but he's gonna be on the podcast as well. Stay tuned. It might be tomorrow, so I'll be putting that tomorrow before I go to work.